In the mid-1990s, two of the most influential voices in hip-hop were silenced by gunfire. Tupac Shakur and Christopher Wallace, better known as the Notorious B.I.G, were murdered just 6 months apart. Despite intense media coverage, FBI involvement, and years of speculation, both murders would remain unsolved for decades. In this episode of Shadowed Case File, we break down the facts. What really happened to Tupac and Biggie? Who were the viable suspects? What evidence exists? And why, after nearly 3 decades, has only one arrest ever been made? In the early 1990s, rap music splintered into an East Coast-West Coast feud centered on two labels and their moguls. On one side was Sean Puffy Combs' Bad Boy Records, New York, fronted by rising star, the Notorious B.I.G, and often associated with Crips-affiliated security. On the other was Marion Suge Knight's Death Row Records, Los Angeles, led by Tupac Shakur, and long linked to the Bloods. Authorities noted that bad boy artists often hired members of the Crips for security, while Death Row had ties to the rival Bloods, setting the stage for an acrimonious rivalry. As each camp grew, the East Coast-West Coast rivalry led to a lot of bad blood, with both sides releasing diss tracks and engaging in street confrontations. In August 1995 at the Source Awards, Knight publicly taunted Combs on stage, and in June 1996, Tupac released the vitriolic Hit 'Em Up, calling out Biggie, Puffy, and Bad Boy by name. Veteran NYPD Detective Derek Parker observed that the two camps started bringing in the gangs. Then came the diss records, making the beef louder, more problematic, and more violent. The feud intensified with a string of incidents. Notably, on November 30th, 1994, Tupac was ambushed and shot 5 times in a Times Square recording studio. In a 1995 Vibe interview, he implied that Combs and Biggie were aware it was a setup. Disputes continued on social media and in lyrics throughout 1995 and 96. By summer 1996, the hostility climaxed in song and deed. Knight and Combs traded insults. Tupac's Hit 'Em Up dissed Biggie and bragged about sleeping with his, and police described retaliatory gang clashes. One grand jury witness later called a pre-murder brawl between Bloods and Crips a literal act of war that would warrant retaliation. This civil rights testimony underscored how the casino fight gave the ultimate green light for bloodshed. The scene was primed for tragedy. On September 7, 1996, following a Mike Tyson fight in Las Vegas, Tupac Shakur and Death Row CEO Suge Knight were driving to their hotel in a BMW sedan. Shortly after midnight, as Knight waited at a red light on Las Vegas Boulevard, near the MGM Grand, a white Cadillac pulled up alongside the BMW. Suddenly, a gunman opened fire on the car. Tupac was hit 4 times, 2 bullets to the chest, 1 to the arm, 1 to the thigh, and Suge Knight was grazed by flying shards. The men rushed to University Medical Center, but Tupac succumbed to his injuries 6 days later, on September 13, 1996, at age 25. Investigators identified eyewitnesses in the car behind Tupac's, including Yafu, Gaddafi, Fula, and began piecing together events. A pivotal moment had occurred hours earlier. Tupac and Suge had confronted a rival gang member, Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, a Southside Compton Crip, in the MGM Grand lobby. Anderson and Tupac got into a scuffle over a Death Row medallion. Las Vegas Police Lieutenant S. Jason O. Succa Johansson later testified that the hallway beating ultimately led to the retaliatory shooting and death of Tupac Shakur. Witnesses described Anderson's Camaro as the same white Cadillac seen fleeing the scene. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, LVMPD, labeled Tupac's murder unsolved for decades, hampered by reluctant witnesses and gang silence. No arrests were made until 2023. In the interim, Tupac's mother, Afeni Shakur, filed a wrongful death lawsuit, accusing Anderson of the killing. Anderson had sued Tupac's estate earlier that month, claiming damages from their fight. The lawsuits ended in Anderson's death. Tupac's murder investigation was lengthy and complex. Early leads centered on Anderson and his Crip associates. Detective Russell Poole, LAPD in 2002, controversially suggested an LA officer corruption cover-up, but this theory went nowhere. In reality, LVMPD records indicate that Las Vegas detectives found the MGM fight to be the key motive. In grand jury testimony, a Crip affiliate termed the hallway brawl an act of war that justified revenge. A documented Nevada search warrant, 2011 FBI files, notes that Shakur's murder sparked serious investigations. By 2018, the case gained renewed attention from the Netflix series Unsolved, which chronicled two LAPD detectives' investigations. In 2019, Tupac witness Duane Keffe D. Davis published a memoir, and soon after, detectives obtained new evidence. On July 17, 2023, LVMPD served a court-approved search warrant on Davis Henderson's home. They seized computers, hard drives, magazines featuring Tupac and other items concerning the murder of Tupac Shakur, according to prosecutors. Videos show SWAT detaining Davis and his wife. Officers retrieved .40 caliber bullets and a copy of Davis's book. In September 2023, a Clark County grand jury indicted Duane Keffe D. Davis on one count of murder with a deadly weapon and a gang enhancement. Davis, a South Los Angeles Crip who confessed in his memoir to being in the Cadillac that night, was arrested September 29, 2023. He is the only living suspect. Police say all other participants are dead. Davis's lawyers have since challenged the case, but the indictment marks the first breakthrough in nearly 27 years. Key investigative points in Tupac's murder. LVMPD linked the Vegas hallway brawl, Death Row vs. Crip, to the shooting. A police lieutenant called the brawl a retaliatory turning point. Keffe D's testimony. Davis, in prison, later said he was front seat passenger in the Cadillac and slipped a gun to the back before the shooting. He named his nephew Orlando Anderson as a backseat passenger and alleged Anderson was one of the shooters. Witness elimination. Yaki Gaddafi, Shakur's friend, and others who might have identified the gunman were killed in street violence weeks later, stalling the probe. New evidence, 2023. Davis's writings and interviews plus digital evidence from his home convinced prosecutors to act. Retired Detective Greg Kading noted Davis gave Las Vegas police the ammunition and leverage to move forward. Despite this action, many questions remain. The Las Vegas case is now set for trial, charged as murder, but absence of surviving co-conspirators means prosecutors must rely on documentary evidence in Davis's statements. Afeni Shakur hailed the indictment as a pivotal moment after 27 years of silence. 6 months after Tupac's death, Christopher Biggie Smalls Wallace was killed in Los Angeles. On March 9, 1997, Wallace attended the Soul Train Music Awards. Afterward, he joined a Bad Boy Records party at LA's Peterson Automotive Museum. As Wallace left the after-party around 12:30 a.m., he rode in the front passenger seat of a suburban SUV, leading a 3-car convoy. At one intersection, a dark Chevrolet Impala SS pulled alongside Wallace's SUV, and a gunman in the Impala opened fire on the passenger side. The bullets struck Wallace multiple times. He was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center and pronounced dead shortly thereafter. FBI files summarize the scene. A dark Chevy SS Impala pulled next to him and fired several times into the passenger area where Wallace was sitting. Wallace died minutes later at a local hospital. The Impala sped off. Its car plates led investigators to a Bronx driver who claimed he was merely trying to park. Biggie's killing is widely believed to be connected to Tupac's. It happened the night after Tupac's death anniversary, and sources say some detectives view it as retaliation. As ABC News notes, 6 months after Shakur was killed, Biggie Smalls was gunned down, in what detectives have theorized was orchestrated revenge for Shakur's murder. Notably, Sean "Diddy" Combs was also at the LA party, and Biggie was riding in a convoy of suburban SUVs with Bad Boy associates. but the mogul and rapper were in separate vehicles, and police have not publicly tied Combs to the shooting. On March 9, 1997, as Biggie left the Peterson Museum in a Suburban, a Chevy Impala pulled up, and its occupant fired 6 times into the SUV. 4 bullets hit Biggie's body. Later, the LAPD determined the rounds were very rare Gecko 9mm armor-piercing bullets. Witnesses reported a black Ford Explorer, similar vehicles, pulled nearby after the shooting. Police briefly detained the driver to clear him. A car-mounted camcorder by fans captured video of the SUV rushing to the hospital. Despite many people around, nobody positively identified the shooter or vehicle in time. Aftermath: Biggie's death shocked fans. The record shows the FBI seized a trailer full of Biggie memorabilia and Tupac shrines from the killer's garage, but local investigation would ultimately sputter. Unlike the Tupac case's recent indictment, the Notorious B.I.G. slaying remains officially unsolved. The FBI notes their probe, a civil rights color of law case, was closed in 2005 with no arrests. The Los Angeles Police Department carried out an extensive investigation, but no one was ever charged. Over the years, several theories and investigations emerged. Shortly after Tupac's death, authorities considered the possibility that Crips gang members were dispatched to kill Biggie. A 2006 LAPD cold case task force, which included Detective Greg Kading, compiled evidence suggesting that Bad Boy's Crip-aligned security may have clashed with death row affiliates. Kading later alleged that Suge Knight ordered a hit from jail, funneling it through an intermediary to a presumed triggerman, Wardell Pucci Fuse. An FBI LAPD statement even claimed Knight instructed a woman to help him coordinate the murder of Christopher Wallace, arranging payment to Fuse to carry out the shooting. Fuse was identified on security footage at the scene and later died in a gang shootout in 2003. However, no grand jury ever charged him with Biggie's murder. In 2011, the FBI released its documents on Biggie's case. The files noted that rare armor-piercing bullets were used and described a bizarre find. In an LAPD officer's garage was discovered a shrine of Tupac Shakur and numerous 9mm guns and ammunition, LAPD radios, scanners, and other tactical items. According to the FBI report, some LAPD officers at the Soul Train Awards had ties to the Bloods and Death Row. These revelations hinted at possible corruption, but they raised more questions than answers. Biggie's mother, Valletta Wallace, sought justice through the courts. In 1999, she sued Death Row and Knight for allegedly promoting violence, but the case was dismissed. The lawsuit never led to arrests, though it underscored the theory that the feud fueled the murder. In 2006, LAPD formally reopened the Biggie case. By then, a high-profile lawsuit accusing LAPD officers David Mack and Rafael Perez of involvement had already been dropped, leaving detectives to pursue new witnesses. One key informant, the female intermediary in Kading's account, reportedly cooperated, but later recanted much of her testimony. Fox Los Angeles reported in 2021 that, despite the conviction that it is solved but unprosecuted, the case remains open and unsolved. To date, no one has been charged in Biggie's killing. Kading told reporters he is frustrated the department hasn't declared the case closed. "I certainly think it's a closed case, and they ought to say these are the facts, and this is why we can't prosecute it, but it is solved," he said. But officially, the LAPD still lists it as an open homicide. As journalist Chuck Phillips and others have noted, numerous leads dried up, witnesses died or disappeared, and critical footage from a limousine camera that might have captured the assailant that has never been made public. The Death Row CEO was present in the BMW with Tupac in Vegas and survived with minor injuries. Many investigations have probed Knight's role. In 2002, he accepted manslaughter in a California altercation, unrelated to these cases, and is serving 28 years. but he has never been charged in either rapper's murder. The Bad Boy founder is a central figure in the rivalry narrative, but was never charged in either killing. He attended the Soul Train party when Biggie was killed, and has acknowledged Biggie's death profoundly impacted him, but he consistently denies any involvement. In the Tupac case, Duane Davis, Keffe D, had told police that Combs offered him $1 million to kill Knight and Tupac, but Combs denied the allegation and was never named a suspect by any law enforcement agency. In Los Angeles, the LAPD identified several gang members as potential shooters or plotters. In 2009, the department quietly detained Alton McDonald, former death row associate, and others in relation to Tupac's killing, but no prosecutions followed. For Biggie's case, names like Anthony Wolf Watkins, Emil Ice Ballard, and Orville Lil Slim Hall surfaced, but investigations never coalesced into charges. Former detective Greg Kading's theory implicates Knight and an associate, while veteran journalist Chuck Phillips has written about Nation of Islam figures and Long Beach Crips involved in Bad Boy security. These remain contested claims. Both cases feature glaring investigative gaps and disputed evidence. In Las Vegas, critical witnesses, Anderson, Gaddafi, and others, were killed, eliminating first-hand testimony. In Los Angeles, bystanders claimed many gang members fled the scene, and official ballistics or autopsy reports have not been fully released. Defense attorneys have argued that LAPD never fully traced the Impala or punished possible accomplices. Former Detective Russell Poole alleged LAPD corruption in 2002. The FBI's 2011 files hinted that officers present at the 1997 shooting may have been allied with death row. The FBI reports discovery of a Tupac shrine in a cop's garage fueled conspiracy theories about an inside job. However, these leads have never produced charges, and the department maintains they are tangential. Both murders drew FBI attention. The FBI's Biggie files, released under FOIA, confirm an investigation but eventual closure. Tupac's murder was largely a local case until recently. Federal authorities did not file charges until Davis's 2023 indictment, which was led by Clark County prosecutors with Vegas PD cooperation. Survivors' accounts have shifted over time. In 2008, Davis told police and later published that Combs had put a bounty on Tupac and Suge, but he now claims his book statements were lies. Notorious B.I.G's mother, Valletta Wallace, has accused death row forces publicly, but she has acknowledged no justice has come. Knight has given inconsistent statements, once suggesting others were responsible. Overall, no confession or definitive on-camera claim has closed either case, leaving many details unresolved. Nearly 3 decades on, both murders remain officially unsolved, though each has seen new developments. In 2023, Las Vegas made the first break in the Tupac case. Duane Keffe D. Davis was indicted for murder with a gang enhancement. If he is convicted, it would be the first homicide conviction in Tupac's death. Upcoming trial dates are set, but Davis has pleaded not guilty and will likely appeal. All other people alleged to be involved in the Vegas shooting, per Davis's statements, are now deceased. The prosecution's theory, based on grand jury transcripts and Davis's own memoir, is that Tupac's murder was a planned gang retaliation after the MGM fight. By contrast, Biggie's murder remains a cold case. No one has been arrested or charged in the shooting. The FBI officially closed its investigation in 2005, and Los Angeles authorities have not announced any new charges. In 2021, former LAPD investigator Greg Kading publicly declared he has solved the case in private, but acknowledged it's unlikely to result in prosecution. Biggie's killers, identified by some accounts as Bloods gang members, either died long ago or face unrelated convictions, effectively ending prosecutorial prospects. The LAPD has not updated the case status, and Wallace's family continues to press for answers. The murders of Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G. are entwined tragedies of 1990s hip-hop. Evidence and investigations have repeatedly circled back to the East-West feud, gang rivalries, and the shadow of both labels. While Tupac's 1996 killing has reached a pivotal legal moment with Davis's indictment, Biggie's 1997 murder remains officially unsolved with no justice in sight. As of 2025, prosecutors say the Tupac case is moving toward trial, whereas Biggie's case languishes. Both acts of violence, and the failed inquiries around them, continue to haunt music history, underscoring how a decade of animosity and law enforcement limitations left fundamental questions unanswered. Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G. were more than rap icons. They were voices of their generation, artists who shaped music, culture, and identity. Their murders weren't just tragedies. They were missed opportunities for truth, justice, and peace. One indictment, two legends, 3 decades of silence. This has been Shadowed Case File. If you want to see justice served, even if it's decades late, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts below. Stay safe, stay curious, and never stop seeking the truth.